This is eCommerce Uncensored. Brought to you by Fast Forward Unlimited. We're coming to you fully loaded and exposed with all the strategies and techniques for growing your e-commerce business.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us on another episode of eCommerce Uncensored. This is episode number 102. My name's Kevin Manel, and I'm here with
Jason Caruso.
And Paul Chu.
and this is our first episode of 2019.
Woohoo!
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
We actually, for the first time, we used to miss a lot of episodes every once in a while, and last week was the first one that we actually missed in I think 30 or 40 episodes. I'm pretty proud of us.
Well, you were sick.
I was sick.
You
yeah.
were sick.
And you need me. I mean, you can't possibly do this podcast without me.
Star of the show.
Right, exactly. I mean, who else is going to introduce the show? But we've been going. I think Kev, we really haven't updated people about what's going on here. Right, we're growing fast.
Well,
right?
You say that.
Do I say that a lot?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They probably know that, yeah.
I don't know if that was said, but the agency side is growing really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it to do with the podcast, right? And there's other changes, right? Kevin and I have become partners.
Boom.
In life.
In
life and in business.
You know what's funny is I'm like, when can I change all my profiles?
Oh my
God! It's like
put Facebook in a relationship.
Well, I don't want to look like like the minute it all happened, like I'm just changing my So I'm like, when do I change?
You did do it a little bit premature.
No, I meant the. So let me just tell you what Kevin is talking about. First of all, before we get into that, today we're gonna have a really good episode about Facebook advertising. Somebody in our Facebook group, if you're not in it, ecommerceuncensored.com/Facebook. It will redirect you to our group. If you're not in it, join. Somebody asked us about Facebook ads and when they should start running them and how they should start running them. So we're going to be talking exactly about targeting, about what else?
Just getting like a beginner's guide.
Yeah, like a beginner's guide, like targeting, how much you should your budget.
Budget.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna read the exact post from Facebook.
Yeah,
when we get to it.
And as always, if you are not signed up to Klaviyo, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for.
Yeah.
Go to ecommerceuncensored.com/email. It will redirect you to Klaviyo. We don't really. That's not an affiliate link, but it does tell Klaviyo.
And what is Klaviyo, Jason?
Oh, yes. Our favorite email platform. And if you're not using it, you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I know because I talk about this every podcast. It's like every day I get somebody emailing me like that they signed up for Klaviyo because of us. And most of the time they say, I'm so excited to start making more money. And it's true. Like Klaviyo will help you make more money. Even if it's just clarity in where the money is coming from. I mean, that's like huge. So go to ecommerceuncensored.com/email. That will take you to Klaviyo. Sign up. It's free for the first 250 subscribers. And I promise you, if you use this platform, it will make you money.
We got to get going with our new client that we just got on Klaviyo too.
Yes.
You can't forget about that. That needs to be on our Albert. Put it on the list.
Yeah. He doesn't know what you just said, but we'll remind him. So just getting back to our original conversation, so how do I even tell the story?
I don't know.
do you need to?
Well, Kevin brought it up.
Well,
basically,
it was like Jason and I have been talking back and forth about this whole business relationship thing that we've been dealing with, and Jason's been with me for almost 3 years, almost 3 years
and a couple months.
And I basically just took over sole ownership of the business myself. So it was a little bit, of a this is my baby type situation. But I knew that this was the best decision that we could make together, so we could get the most out of everything. But it was just like, there was a little bit of a transitional period in there, and I was a little bit tentative about.
Well, there's you were doing this business with another person, and there was a lot of ups and downs through the years, right? You've been doing this for 16 years, and so there's a little bit of like.
It was a sensitive subject for me a little bit.
And not just you, but family members, of course, because they're looking out for you.
Right.
Okay. So I posted on Facebook. I said, and Kevin and I started eCommerce Uncensored together. right?
Right.
Yeah, it was started in Fast Forward, but it was like we did this together. So I always looked at him and I, whether he liked it or not.
No, of
that
course.
we were-
It was always a
Right.
50-50 partnership for the podcast, for
right.
sure, always.
So I wrote on Facebook, I wrote, happy, what'd I say? Oh,
Merry
this is our,
Christmas
no,
was
no.
right before
It
Christmas.
was for our 100th episode.
Our 100th episode. I was like, this is our 100th episode. Congratulations to my business partner, Kevin Manel. And I went to go change it because I knew that we haven't made our partnership.
Well, I hadn't told anybody here yet.
Hasn't told anybody here.
wasn't public.
Didn't tell our families. And it seemed like I was announcing something that I wasn't. I was talking, because I basically said my business partner, Kevin, I was basically talking about the e-commerce podcast, and it sounded like I was talking about the partnership with Fast Forward, and it was just like a big cluster.
It's amazing what the power of social media can have
You know,
for
and
a
it's-
split second.
And what's messed up about it is like, when I want people to see my posts, they don't see it. And in the minute I say something that like I should have been more clear about,
Yeah.
everybody
sees
sees it. Right.
Well, you said as soon as you posted it, you're like, oh,
And I couldn't find it. Right? It wasn't even on my wall.
it wasn't. I couldn't find it
I
either.
was looking for it. I'm like, I gotta change that. Put
My
e-commerce.
wife was like, what is this about business partner?
So
I was like, what are you talking about, Jay? And I was looking, I was like, where did he post it? I was looked up your profile, and it wasn't there.
I know, and that was my mistake. I should have wrote e-commerce uncensored business partner. I just, yeah. Anyway. So now Kevin and I are partners, I guess.
Yes.
In fact, fast forward,
Yes.
and we're really excited because things are really going in a nice direction. This podcast is like growing, and the people that we're touching. Without further ado,
you're
though,
touching.
let's
Yeah.
get going.
So our group, I mean, this is exactly what our group is for. And it's funny because this person kind of asked us first if they could post their questions. Like, yeah, of course. This is what we're here for. So I just wanted to, and the first question they posted was, I thought, really, really a valid question, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm just going to read the question word for word so you guys can get a feeling for what we're going to talk about. So it's, how much experience or how much of an expert do I have to be to start running Facebook ads? If you do believe I need to be advanced in Facebook ads, do you recommend a specific course, book, video so I can hop on that ASAP, as I would like to get this rolling? I know my way around Facebook ads and have put some hours in learning most of it, but I want to make sure.
Yeah, so that's a good question, and I think that most people that are starting out with Facebook ads, this is kind of the questions that they have, right? They're very insecure about it, and I think a lot of that comes from the quote-unquote gurus, but I also think that it also comes because from Facebook being very complicated when it first came out, and now it's much easier, right? So we're going to get into those things. Now, the first thing, Kevin and I had a little discussion this morning, and he wanted me to make sure that we said
Oh, Jesus.
that you have to make sure your pixel's installed, right? Your Facebook has a little piece of code, if you don't know, that goes on your website, and it basically tracks everything back to your to your Facebook ads account.
Yeah, I think it's important because if you're going to run ads, if you're going to pay for advertising, you want to collect the most data that you can. And even at the very beginning, even if you're just testing some stuff, that's where you're going to see the information. Is
Yeah,
gonna be on
and
your
it
Facebook
used to
pixel.
be that the pixel was a very hard thing or difficult thing to figure out. Now it's very easy. It's just, even in Shopify, it just connects.
Yeah, you have to set up the pixel in Facebook first. There's like a little area that you go to. It sets it up really simple. And then they give you either a snippet of code that you can use on your WordPress site or code of any site, or in some instances, you'll get a plugin where you just put the numbers in, the pixel
Yeah, like
ID.
in WooCommerce or WordPress.
WooCommerce has a plugin that you can use, makes it super easy, and it can do the e-commerce tracking, which is really cool. Shopify is already set up to throw in like all the main events that happen, the purchase events, so then you can start doing some dynamic ads for abandoned cart and things like that.
Right,
So
but let's
they make it
assume-
super easy.
Let's assume that's been done, right? You set up your pixel. Shopify has set up the events. If you're not using Shopify, you're going to have to set those events up on your own. It's a little complicated to get into on here. But once that's done, then what? Right? And that specifically is what this guy in our group said. And one thing I think that a lot of people get hung up on, and something that I think we've learned really over the last years is that, first of all, if your ad doesn't work within the first 48 hours, there's a good chance it's not going to work, right? People get very, very like confused that it's more complicated than it is.
Well, I think you can see how something's working relatively quickly. Like once your ad gets approved and it starts rolling, it's not like Google ads in a sense where you have to kind of wait to see some traffic come in or what search terms you're getting. Facebook's going to start showing your ad to the people that they think make sense like right away.
Right. So let's talk about that because it's a good point. When I say that they work within the first 48 hours, I don't mean that you're going to get sales within the first 48 hours. I mean that if there's no interaction with it, there's no engagement, people aren't clicking, people aren't showing interest in it, then there's a good chance that there's something not right. You know, whether it's the targeting's a little bit off, and we'll get into that, whether the ad itself isn't really selling the product well enough, whatever. But if you're getting clicks, if you're getting engagements, you know, you're going to have to tweak it along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the signs you have to first look for.
And when you go through, I know one of the first things that can be a little tricky when you first set up your ads is the type of ad that you want to set up, right?
Yeah.
And because, you know, Facebook's going to take you through this whole, I guess, kind of onboarding process to start your ad. And the first question is going to be, what kind of ad do you want to start?
Yeah. And I've lately come up with this process where I've started off with an engagement ad so that I can see if people are going to engage with it.
An engagement ad is pretty much what, you know, you want people to either like, comment, share your post.
Right.
And which is a good opportunity because you're just going to put it out there. You're going to put something out there, and the activity is going to happen on Facebook.
Yeah, and you know, that's like a rabbit hole we can go down. Like if you're getting a lot of likes and stuff, but not a lot of comments, it could give you like a false sense of things are working. But there are people like me that just sit and like everything and really don't have any interest in it, right? So I always
You just like everything?
Everything I like, if I like the person or whatever it is, you know.
That's so weird.
So I start off with an engagement ad because I want to see if the engagement level, right? You're going to get people clicking. You're going to get people like doing the other stuff, whether it's clicking or conversions. Like in an engagement ad, you still should get those things. Mm-hmm. But it's really just to test the water to see how good your product is.
Yeah, and when you do that, when you start with an engagement ad, Facebook is going to serve up your ad to people
who they know.
Right. Like, and Jason likes everything, so he probably gets served a whole lot of engagement ads.
Yeah.
So that gives a good opportunity to get feedback on the ad, or people not having to go anywhere or do anything right at the ad level.
Right. And then from there, I like to start warming up the pixel with click ads, right? So first the engagement ads, next are click ads. Now we're going to starting to get people who actually click, right? Facebook will serve your ad to people who are clickers, right? Now, you still should get some conversions because the people who convert tend to have to click first.
Right, exactly.
Right? So, and then we start creating conversion ads. Now, one thing that I think a lot of people get confused with, right? They think that you need to spend $100 a day per campaign. But in the beginning, you're just trying to see which audiences, you know, are the most ripe for your product. Mm-hmm. So the way that you do that is you create many little campaigns, so 10, 15, whatever you can afford, and you do like $5 per campaign, or actually per ad set.
Right.
Not campaign, per ad set, right?
Yeah.
So now you have 10 different audiences, because now each of those ad sets should be going to different audiences. Now you'll see which ones are working the best, and then you can start sort of honing in on that specific audience and building out from there.
That's a good point, because I think that came up in the comments of the question was like worldwide versus U.S. or, you know, different countries. And doing the split really gives you because if you do everybody all in one audience in one ad set, you don't know what's working.
Right. Men, women.
Split it all up.
U.S., worldwide. So basically you're targeting, if you're targeting too broad, and I don't mean like the demographics are too broad, it's going to be hard to know what's working. So you should always create many different ad sets, many different targets, and then you'll see which ones are working the best. If you're not getting, conversions at $5 a day, right? Because then it's going to be very like you're not going to get a winner, like a really hot product, if you're not getting a.
And talk about budget for a second, because I know you're really familiar with the engagement ad. Like, what can someone expect? Like for $5 a day, how much engagement can someone expect to get from that?
Well, I've ran engagement ads for some of my golf stuff, and when I tell you, like, for $5, it was blowing up a day, like pennies, like a penny per like, or a penny per like. You'll see it, comments and likes and shares. It'll go crazy.
And then when you find that audience that's doing that,
right,
then you can move over to the clicks, right?
Then you can start playing around with audiences and lookalike audiences, and I mean, it can go on forever. We can't get into that, but just wanted to address some of these things that I think a lot of people think about, right? Many different ad sets or campaigns, small dollar amounts, and your job at first is just to get data.
Mm-hmm.
Who's doing what the most? From there, now that you have, and let's talk about targeting a little bit, right? In the old days of Facebook ads, which was like 3 years ago, like you had to get really creative with your targeting. Facebook's algorithm is so smart that you just got to kind of point them in a direction, right? Like it used to be like, let me see all these different little combinations of targeting, like males between 24 and 22 or 22 and 24, and they like this page and they don't like that page. It get really complicated. Now it's just like, just point them in a direction and then they'll figure it all out.
Yeah, Facebook then will find the right people to perform the action that you want them to do.
Yeah,
so,
some of our most successful ads literally had like as a target homeowner. That's it.
And Facebook pinpoints the right people based on what you want them to do.
Exactly.
And it hones in on that.
Yes.
Which is really, really cool.
Right. And I think the many different campaigns or ad sets, however you want to do it, at $5 a day, I think that's a lot easier for people to digest that than like $100 a day on one.
And I think you should, to your point about Facebook, I think you do, because that was another question that came up in the comments, was like, well, how long do I let it go before I decide whether something's working or not? I do think you do. I mean, I used to be very guilty of this. I had a very heavy trigger finger myself when it came to these Facebook ads. That was a long, long time ago.
Yeah, like last year.
But you do have to give Facebook the opportunity to learn what you want your audience to do.
Yeah, but if after 48 hours it's doing nothing.
Yeah, 48 hours. It works pretty fast.
It works pretty fast. I mean, we would have ads that literally within the first few hours are getting clicks after clicks, and then we'd have ads that Kevin.
Well, we would leave the office around 5 and start an ad before we left, and when I got home, I would turn them off.
Right, they'd be off before we like. You got to give it a little bit of time, but in the advertising world, 48 hours is really a very short time. Like, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I used to do 20 campaigns or 25 campaigns or whatever, and just let them go for 2 days. I mean, let's say you spend $100. Like, okay, like you're gonna get a lot of data from that. It's not spending, $100 every day for one campaign.
Mm-hmm. And you're not just throwing the money out. You're gathering a lot of information.
Data.
You're learning a lot.
Right, and then you're also collecting audiences of people who go to your website. And again, there's a lot of things we can go.
I think we should branch off of this and totally do more specific, because we kind of went down a couple roads here that I think we can go further.
Yeah, maybe we'll go into audiences or something next time or that kind of stuff. Paul, what else did you have on your thing? So it was budget, which we talked about, right? A lot of little budget, a lot of little campaigns, a little
It was
right?
budgeting, targeting,
And
and testing.
Right. So targeting is literally just point Facebook in a direction, right? Whether it be people who liked, Justin Bieber or
Yeah.
whatever. Just like that's it. Just point them in a direction. Point them in-
Married people, women over
right.
what a certain age.
I like to do an age range. I like to do gender, always male, female, always a country, whether it's U.S. or the rest of the world, and then just give them like one little direction to point them in, and then that's enough.
I think I like, and when you're going through this process of the targeting, Facebook will give you an estimated audience. I think it's good. You could even go in the 2 million people range. I think if you get that number, I think is a good number to start.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're breaking a lot of them up, there's a good chance they're
It's
going to.
weird, but when you do this, you'll see. You're like, wow, I can't believe there's 2 million people like that.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
And then, I think it's a good idea. Like, there's also like creative and the ad text. I mean, there's a whole mess of things that we could talk about, and we will.
Yeah, I think for budgeting too, we could talk about like what's good. Like if you're gonna set a $5 a day budget and you're doing a clicks ad, like what should I be looking for?
Right.
As far as clicks go.
Like, how much should we be paying per click?
Yeah,
And
or
we'll get
engagement
into
or
that. Yeah.
conversions. How much should a conversion cost? Because people don't know. Like they're
Right.
blown away sometimes by the cost of conversion. So
Yeah. So we'll go into that. We can go into frequency. We can go into relevancy scores. We can go into all that stuff.
no, it's always so hard to come up with topics, and I feel like we're just coming up with
Yeah.
a bunch
Yeah,
of
there's
them.
tons.
Now that we have our suggestion box.
Exactly.
So what's the third one?
Testing.
Oh, testing. Right. So aside from managing your budget with little $5 campaigns or $5 ad sets, it'll also give you a lot of data and the ability to test a lot of different stuff really quickly.
Hey, there's no reason to, while you're testing some real ads, like if you want to post something on social media, you boost it for a day or two. There's no reason why you can't do that too,
Right.
to see some activity on just random stuff that you may not think is ad worthy, but may. You never know.
I think, and there's something else that I want to touch on an upcoming podcast.
You want to touch
He wants
in?
to touch all kinds of things.
touch on is how to find other people selling similar products to see what their ad create, their copy, to see what images or videos they're using. We'll talk about that because
Yeah.
there is a little hack.
Yeah, I love doing that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But I think that's good. I mean, I think those three things people struggle. We see the most of. Like, how much money should I spend? How many campaigns should I run? What's the targeting like? If you follow those guidelines, Facebook and your data will tell you a lot about how well your product or how good your product is, how good the ads are, and literally, how successful that particular product can be.
Cool.
Paul, you don't know, you really haven't run any Facebook group ads. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay, because you saw the question in the group, right? The guy basically said, what do I do?
Yeah. Where do you start? No, that was I think that's a good overview for people who don't know how to do it.
Right. Anything else, Kev?
Klaviyo.
eCommerceuncensored.com/email. If you're not using Klaviyo, seriously, if you're using MailChimp or one of these other companies, you're losing out or you're missing out because the data that Klaviyo gives you is unbelievable.
Go do
eCommerce.
There's a free account up to 250 subscribers.
Right.
So go over
And
there
don't
do it.
forget, go to our Facebook group, eCommerceuncensored.com/Facebook.
Yes.
Anything
else?
else?
Anything else that we talk about?
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram,
That's it.
eCommerce Uncensored.
Yeah.
At eCommerce Uncensored.
Yeah.
Actually, Twitter is a weird.
Twitter's
thing.
ecom uncensored because
They didn't let us have enough.
Yeah, it was too long, I
letters.
think.
So, but Instagram, we're trying to be really active on Instagram. So that's at eCommerce Uncensored. Follow us over there. Albert's got a lot of cool stuff going on over there. Daily activities. We have a lot of fun here. So check that out. But that's about it. This has been episode number 102. Check us out as always at eCommerceuncensored.com. And we'll talk to you guys real soon.
Later.
Bye-bye.